Greetings. Elder Black Light talking about fight time. It's time for us to get off the ropes. We can't do the rope a dope any longer. We got to get off the rope and knock our enemy out. Now you got to be conscious and aware that the enemy uses our own people, and they let the enemy use them because they have a lack of understanding of who they are. And so he uses entertainers, athletes, politicians, and preachers. Preachers. He uses basically those for people to influence us. They are gatekeepers. They are put up to distract us. Now, entertainers have a lot of influence. Uh, Athletes have a lot of influence because if you make it in those two fields, you get plenty money. And politicians, if you make it in politics, you get plenty money. And another area is medicine and science. Now, that's what mostly all of our people. Oh, and law. Law is another science that they use. Psychology is another one, but I put that under the category of medicine. Now, a lot of our people are getting over at that. And he also uses engineers, black engineers. A lot of our people getting over working for the enemy like that. Now, the entertainers, they influence the populace through their music and movies and uh, areas of entertainment, jokes, comedians. Now, athletes, you could classify them as entertainers too. They influence people by their athleticness. I know I ain't saying that right, but that's how they do it. Now, the scientists, their minds uh, is what the enemy uses to control us with. So, but what do we have to fight with? Well, a lot of us think guns is the answer. I'm not telling you to don't use guns, but you got to think about what will happen when the enemy runs, when you run out of ammunition and the enemy refuses to make any more for you. Or when your gun is obsolete and the enemy refuses to sell you guns. What do you use now? Well, born mastermind Allah is going to show you why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the black man was the original Asiatic black man, cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. He's going to show you, and we're going to show you. Now, he used a whole lot of scientific, and he's very technical. He's breaking it down, but I'm just going to let him illustrate what we got inside of us. See, we got more power inside of us because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the word God means possessor of power and force. Check this.
To produce a magnetic field large enough to damage modern technology. Because we understand technology is being built stronger to withstand small magnetic fields, but larger magnetic fields still has a great influence on them. Now let's go into the original black man, who is the personification of the original electromagnetic force itself, and the original black woman, who is the personification, the physical manifestation of that supermassive black hole strength through her womb. We talk about magnetism. We talk about electromagnetism. We are that physical manifestation of the electromagnetic force itself and all the forces. Magnetism and the physiology of the black body. Again, I'm going to go through some of these biological facts that we have discovered throughout the years. Some of you may have heard in previous videos, but we're going to run back through them and tie it all together. We know when you study the black body that we have a thicker blood. Thank you. All right. Thank you. We know through science that we have a thicker blood and more red blood cells. Okay? Now, the red blood cells, which contain hemoglobin, has iron.
Now we're going to speak on the blood. That's why we all up in the hospital giving up our blood, because they know that we have something in them. Now I know this firsthand. When my mother, before she passed away, she was in the hospital and they were taking enormous amounts of blood from her. Now, she had the kind of veins that hide. She had the kind of veins that you couldn't see. You had to smack the arm or whatever to bring the blood vessel up to the surface. But in the meantime, they'd be poking her with the needle and so forth. So she got frustrated and they wanted her blood. And because she was supposed to have been probably dead, but she was amazing them because she wasn't, dead, and she wasn't feeling no effects of her conditioning. She had a heart problem. Now, they sent two young doctors, students in there for her to sign a waiver because they wanted to study her blood. I got mad at them and said, well, they wanted her to sign a form so they could take and study her blood, but they needed her consent. So I said, well, y'all gonna knock off some of this hospital bill? They said, no, we're not gonna do that. Now my mama, by her trusting white people, got mad at me because I made that statement. Well, anyway, she ended up signing it, and they was taking blood all the time. Now, it took a long time for my mama to eventually die from her condition, but she was a fighter. Plus, in her early years, she was a student of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. My mother was studying, after she left the Nation of Islam, she studied Charles Fillmore religion called Unity, but it's still Christian. All Unity is a stolen legacy from the ancient Egyptian science, and in it he had the 12 powers of man. In one of his books called The 12 Powers of Man, it shows you the 12 powers that man contain, but the Caucasian don't have as much of this as we have, because we are the originators of planet Earth. Now, I wrote a song called Temple Number One, and in one of my lyrics, I said, he can't trump me. And I'm talking about Trump, because I said I'm going to funk him up scientifically, because I know about 12 powers of man and how to use imagination. So at one point, I had both of them. I know you don't believe it, but this is the power of one. I had Biden and Trump mumbling, talking crazy. And eventually Trump talked too crazy, went crazy. Now the next one is Biden. We all going to, all of my, this is only for the gods. Now you got to be righteous so your power could be in full effect. In other words, you don't want to be a liar, and you got to have confidence in who you are and study the supreme wisdom. I'm Black Light. Stay tuned.